5 basic words to describe what needs to be done.
Well, when you put it in the frame of reference, everyone, when they talk about racism and white supremacy, should always start by saying that the focus, the objective should be replace white supremacy with justice. Those are the 5 basic words. And you start your frame of reference from that. The words are very important because when people talk about racism, they tend to get away from the basic focus. If you keep those 5 words in mind, replace white supremacy with justice, then you can keep focus. In many of these discussions on the matter, people tend to get into everything from feminism to words that don't have precise definitions.
And everything else. They go off on a tangent.
Yes, right.
Yeah, but this kind of locks it in.
Right. Bigotry, discrimination, sexism, a multitude of isms. Biracialism, whatever that means, multiculturalism.
Whatever that means.
Yes. And so you get into a myriad of words that don't apply to the focus of what you're talking about. So therefore, that is the basic frame of reference that you should always focus on. That should be used by all people who are talking about the problem as it is.
What is a tragic arrangement, or the 3 T's, if you will, and what are some of the first 2 things that must be done to establish quality relationship between white and non-white people, if you will?
Well, the 3 T's, called a tragic arrangement, are tacky, trashy, terroristic. Now, this is the arrangement that non-white people on this planet have with white people in their everyday interactions in all areas of activity.
Tacky,
trashy, and terroristic. One of the 3. It doesn't get any better than tacky. If you will observe black people, for instance, in the presence of white people, on account of the way that both of them are raised within the system of white supremacy, there's a strain there. There's not a even flow. So what you have is a tackiness. It doesn't get any better than tacky. It can't get any better than tacky within the system of white supremacy.
Why?
So this is all very tragic. Well, because the system of white supremacy demands that white people interact with non-white people in a certain way that is harmful and harsh and overall destructive. And that the non-white people interact with the white people in the same manner. And they are taught this. Both people
are taught this
at a very early age, and then the teaching goes on every day in all 9 areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war.
All areas of people activity.
All of the areas of people activity, everywhere in the known universe.
I noticed something. I used to work with a gentleman, elderly gentleman, and whenever he would come in contact with white people, he always had a tendency to have to be the entertainment committee, to make everybody laugh. If we were on the elevator or doing something in the building, he was always the person to make white people laugh. He was always the clown.
Yes.
I always kept a straight face, so he thought something was wrong with me.
Yes, well, you can tell that there's a strain even on college campuses and whatnot, and in schools. The people will go to the classes together because that's where the classes are. That's where the teaching is. And then the students will separate themselves in the lunchroom. Now, there's a reason for that, and the reason is not healthy. It shows it's something that is completely out of order. Because if the people are sharing the same classroom and learning the same things and having the same values that are taught in that classroom, then why do not the people interact with each other in all of the areas of activity without exception in harmony?
Well, maybe they're not learning the same thing.
That is it.
Maybe they taught the same thing, but
yes,
not necessarily
that is it. Under the system of white supremacy, a black student sitting next to a white student is being taught how to be a victim of white supremacy. The white person, the white student, is being taught how to be a white supremacist.
And it's all in the language.
This is done in the language, in the use of the words, in the subject matter of the materials, if the material in any way relates to interactions between people. Now, the other two T's, trashy, if you try to improve on the tackiness, then it gets trashy. The interactions between. For instance, you can say that in the area of religion, Sunday morning, black people and white people do not attend the same churches.
Dr. King says the most segregated hour in America.
Right. Now, that is tacky, particularly in the area of religion. It should not be. The two people should come together in religion, if in nothing else. It would seem logically speaking. But under the system of racism, since the basic teaching of the white supremacy system is that white supremacy is a religion, so you have a built-in barrier
already
against black people and white people sharing the same premises and preaching the same gospel and talking about loving each other and treating each other with justice. So therefore you can't have what you call black people and white people in the same religious setting, which is why you don't have it. So what you do have, and I'd like to add this, is the trashiness that goes on the same Sunday morning, and that is maybe in the houses of prostitution, in the houses of dope dealing. Then you will have black and white together.
That's the only
same day,
place
on Sunday.
Wow, that's interesting that you would say that, because you have these two groups, and we both say we're Christian. We have white Baptists, then we have black Baptists, and we're supposed to be worshiping the same God, if you will.
One in Christ, they often say. And that is something that not even many black people care to explain. That they say we are, in Christ there is no east, no west, etc., etc., etc. Yet, the black people and the white people cannot sit down in the same bench in a church.
I find it interesting, speaking of religion, that you could have Billy Graham come to town and all the black ministers start bowing down. Minister Louis Farrakhan comes and there's controversy.
Well, that is because of the race issue.
As well.
It's always because of the race issue. You can't do anything. You can't straighten out anything in religion or any of the 9 areas of activity without first eliminating racism. And here again, there's only one functional form, and that is white supremacy.
What should be used as a role model for replacing white supremacy?
The role model for replacing white supremacy should be a code of thought, speech, and action, not a person, never a person. And that also applies to producing justice throughout the world, which justice has never been produced, as far as anyone who is existing now knows anything about. We don't know what justice would be like. We don't know what peace would be like. Never had it. So in the process of producing justice, you need a role model, and that role model has to be a prescription. Some ministers have said in the beginning there was the Word. Now that certainly applies also to straightening out race problems. You have to have the words. The words are not correct. Hardly any of the words are correct. The words are designed to support racism. And this is why you have the confusion you have in the schools.
Deceit.
Yes, the deceit. See, the words are designed to support deceit, which is the basic tool of the white supremacists.